Welcome back, everybody, to episode 16 of That's DPI and episode 2 of That's DPI on location. We're going to give you guys our day 2 observations from Chiefs training camp. I'm Zach, and that's Tyler over there. And Tyler, what did you see that was a little bit different from day 2 compared to day 1 here at Chiefs training camp?
Well, first off, if you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
haven't seen the day one observations, go check that out. It was a lot of fun. That's DPI on location. Our TikToks put a day in the life of and a little bit of tips for training camp. But going into day two, it's the first day of the general public can see, and we saw a lot more offense today. It looked like they flipped the field to where defense was over on that far side, offense was over on that other side. So we actually got to take a good look at what the Chiefs offense looks like. And there's actually some surprises. Of course, there's going to be, your starting rotation of Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and all of those guys. But there are a couple names that really surprised me today. And rookie Jalen Royals is one of those guys. Zach, I know he was your favorite guy today.
I think that he was the training camp MVP of today. Like you said, we got a ton of looks at the offense. They were on our side for both 7-on-7 and their team session, their 11-on-11. And Royals was repeatedly repping with Patrick Mahomes in the ones, taking Juju Smith-Schuster's spot and repping alongside of Rice and Worthy and Kelsey. And he, I think, caught every target and a couple for a touchdown. He ran some really crisp routes in 7-on-7 and made some really good catches in 11-on-11. And I thought that he just looked really sharp on a day when the rest of the wide receivers, minus like one other, was not sharp at all. It was unforced error after unforced error. And we'll get to that. But I wanted to make sure I highlighted how good of a day rookie Jalen Royals had in just his second day of training camp. I mean, did you notice the same thing? Were you seeing what I saw?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a little bit of context, if you guys don't remember, Jalen Royals, the rookie, he's a fourth round draft pick. This is not a Rashee Rice early second round. This is a fourth round draft pick out of Utah State. He's expected to make the team for sure going into camp, but yeah, maybe contributes, maybe doesn't. At this point right now, I think he's going to be a contributor. I think he's wide receiver 3 when Rashee Rice is on suspension, being right behind Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. But what I'm saying is that there is potential for Jalen Royals to be ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster
Absolutely.
on the depth chart. And another guy that I want to talk about a little bit is he's not a rookie, but to me he came out of nowhere, and that is wide receiver Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, he had. I mean, Royals was really consistent and great all day, but Tyquan Thornton had the play of training camp, running down the left side, working against. I think it was Jalen Watson, the starting outside corner, because Thornton was
Which
also
the
a
fact that
sneaky
he's
guy.
going against Watson tells you where
Yeah,
he's at on the depth
he was
chart right
getting some
now.
sneaky reps at one. I know Arrowhead Pride currently has him making the roster, and this catch down the sideline proves why. Full extension, falling onto his back, reaching up and making a phenomenal catch. And the coverage was great. It was super tight coverage, but the ball was on a rope, and Thornton made a great grab, came down with it. It was easily the highlight of training camp. There was maybe only
Hmm.
one other play that rivaled it, and it was Wiley's catch in 7-on-7. He was reached out full extension, grabbed one, but Thornton just made it look so effortless.
And the reason that highlighting Tyquan Thornton is important because he's going to be wide receiver 6. Like we've actually got good depth at wide receiver this year. But the reason that highlighting him is important is because of what it means for Sky Moore. Sky Moore is not on the active roster right now. Well, I mean, if you had to select your 53, Sky Moore's not on the roster. He's taking punt return 3. He did get a couple reps in with he got a lot of reps in with the twos, couple reps in with the ones with Patrick Mahomes and a couple other guys, but Tyquan Thornton is by far ahead of Sky Moore on the active roster right
And
now,
Jalen
just
Royals
based
as
on the reps
well.
that we saw.
I
Yeah,
mean, both
absolutely.
of them.
I think the only way Sky Moore makes the active roster is after week 1 when Rashee Rice goes on the suspension list. Sky Moore comes in for wide receiver 6, and then when Rice comes back, Sky Moore gets the boot again.
Yeah, I mean, not that Sky Moore made many mistakes. There was one moment, and this can kind of transition into our next topic. I mean, we can talk about special teams real quick and then move on to Omar Norman Lott, I think. But um, there was one moment where Sky Moore was taking some punt return reps. I mean, Andy Reid is looking to get this guy on the field, doesn't want to give up on him yet, clearly. And the punt by the camp leg, who for the life of me, I can't remember his name, punted it a little bit short of Sky Moore, and
For
he just
context, we're not talking about Matt Arrizia.
yeah,
We're not.
Matt
That's not
Arrizia was
who we're referring to.
bombing it every play down the field. But the camp leg punted it a little bit short, and Sky Moore, instead of hustling after it, jogged after it, and the ball landed about 4 feet from him. And the coach, it was such an empty day at training camp that we could hear the coach say, "Come on, Sky, chase after that. Like you could have got that one." And
Mhm.
then on the very next rep, the camp leg also had a pretty poor punt. Sky Moore chased after it and didn't end up getting to it. So there were two punt reps that Sky Moore was in for that just he didn't even get to field the punt because he lacked effort on the first rep, and then ended up getting kind of shafted on the punt. They let him back in or later on in the drill, and he got a couple of good reps in. And he definitely looked like the second best player out there because
The
the worst
important thing
player.
with that, though, real quick, is when he goes back in for his next set of reps, the coach also said, "Doesn't matter where it is, go for that ball.
Oh,
Go
that's
get that
right.
ball.
Yes. Yeah.
Go act like you're gonna get the. Go act like you're gonna catch it."
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was definitely kind of getting on and making sure that the effort was there. And if I was Sky Moore at this point, I would be giving 135% effort every single rep that I
You
get
have to.
because my
You have
job's on the
to.
line. And so that was disappointing to see because I know that you vehemently dislike Sky Moore. You think that the the cord should be cut at this point, but I'm still in the camp that he can be a productive receiver in the NFL. But it's disappointing to see him go out there and lack effort in places where Andy Reid's trying to get him involved. But at least he looked better than another player they were trying out at punt returner. And this is I have a personal theory about this, but to not keep you guys waiting, the player is Xavier Worthy. They had him out for 3 punt return reps, and he overran 2 of them and muffed the third one, and all of it was embarrassing fashion. Like obviously, Xavier Worthy, super great athlete, crazy fast, but dude cannot track punts to save his life. Did
There were
you?
some muffed punts. He would run forward, and then the ball would end up behind him. He would like wait for it, and then have to run. And when you're running while catching a punt, there's a very high chance for a muff, and there were muffs. It was comical at how bad and of course it's training camp, so like everyone's just kind of getting some reps here and here, but it was just comical at how bad Xavier Worthy was at punt return.
Because I think the coaches obviously would love to have a speedy, athletic, agile guy who can just blaze down the field, return punts. But I think they should drop that experiment really quick. He's not your guy. But
So,
yes,
staying with special teams real quick, who does look to be the Chiefs' number one return guy?
I mean it was clear in a way. Nico Remigio easily. He got all of the starting punt return reps. He got twice as many reps as anybody. And I think he only made one major mistake, and it was his first rep. The rest of them were all clean. He tracks the ball well. He gets right up underneath it. And he's stopped well before the ball arrives. And then out of his stop position, he looks really, really fast and quick. And on ESPN, he's listed as the starting kick returner and punt returner. And to me, he is the clear favorite. I didn't really see anybody else. Although seventh round rookie Bashard Smith was a like fourth in the
Hmm.
FBS in all purpose yards, and it was a receiver turned running back and could be used as a returner. I'm curious to see if he's going to get punt return reps when Nico Remigio comes out in the preseason. I don't know. What did you see? Is there really a battle there between Smith and Remigio or not?
I don't think the battles between Smith and Remigio because I I didn't see Smith taking punt return reps. So I think that if we're talking about Smith, the seventh round running back, we're looking at Elijah Mitchell as the competition. Maybe even Carson Steele as the competition. There's a lot. Um, I think the only 2 locks at running back for the Chiefs are Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Everyone else is kinda, like, in competition with each other. It's you've got Elijah Mitchell, um, Brashard, Brashard Smith, and Carson Steele. Pick 2, and there's your running back room.
I did see a couple of punt return reps because remember there was that one where they told him to score and then he didn't. And he just like didn't score. Like he was down the sideline.
Was that Smith?
Yeah, that was Brashard
Oh,
Smith.
I didn't realize that
Uh,
was Smith. My apologies on that.
Yeah, and no, it's all good because then right after there was this Sky Moore rep where he did score. But yeah, Smith took a couple, but it was as many as the other players. You're right. But speaking of the running back battle, because I do think that's interesting. I know it was not on our agenda, but we're gonna call a quick audible here at the line of scrimmage because I thought that the player we picked out the player who had the best day, and it was easily far and away Jalen Royals. The player who had the worst day to me was Carson Steele. Oh
He did not do
my
well.
goodness. There were 3 plays, 2 or 3 plays where the
There were
quarterback
at least 3 that I counted.
yeah. Well, one of them, I believe it was Zappy was rolling out on a designed bootleg and dumped it, hits Steele like right here, and it clangs off his hands. Complete miss. There's another play where Mahomes was blitzed, or Mahomes or Minshew was blitzed early, and they show off incredible arm talent by dumping it sidearm right to the chest of Carson
Mhm.
Steele on the left side of the line of scrimmage, and he just clanks off it, completely drops it. And then there was another play resembling that as well. 3 uncontested, unforced drops by Carson Steele in the passing game on during the team section. It was I I don't think you can have a worse day as a running back fighting for a roster spot, which with competition clearly brought in a rookie and a veteran, both signed to take that RB4 spot,
Well, and
RB4
the
and 3
thing that I
spot.
wanna highlight there is, number 1, he's in the rep with Bailey Zappi right off the bat, so that tells you a little bit because Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, Isaiah Pacheco was not with Bailey Zappi one bit today, right? So, in maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't, but I think it shows where he's at on the roster right now. But the other thing is Carson Steele had some hands problems last year. He had, if I'm not mistaken, he had a couple fumbles throughout the
He
season and a
did.
handful of drops. So this is not out of the blue.
He's
So if he
margin for
can't fix
error.
that,
Hmm.
yeah, if he can't fix those problems that he had this year, there's 2 guys right there to replace him.
Yeah, and not that Elijah Mitchell was remarkable, but he didn't make a single mistake all day that I could see.
Mhm.
Elijah Mitchell was nothing if not consistent, and that's what you expect. When you bring in veterans on contracts with guaranteed money, you expect them to be consistent. And that's what Mitchell was today. That's all the Chiefs need from him because the Chiefs have a sincere lack of offensive players that are consistent. It is Kelsey, it is Kelsey. And that is the list stops there. Mahomes was even inconsistent
Mm.
last year. Uh,
And he's looked
Pacheco was
inconsistent
injured.
at camp so far.
Yeah, Pacheco was injured, Rice was injured, Worthy was inconsistent. You know, so the Chiefs need consistency desperately, and I think Mitchell provides that. And that's really what you want from your wide receiver 3 and your running back 3 and 4. But anyway, I do want to talk about the defense. I know we had the offense on our side, but we were watching the defense and we were watching who was rotating. And in our day one observations, we mentioned Omar Norman a lot being a sub package guy subbing in for Mike Pennell. And what do you know? Mike Pennell gets the first couple of reps, and then it's Omar Norman Lott getting a ton of work with the ones. And obviously, it's tough to
Hmm.
evaluate, but it's a great sign to see a guy like Norman Lott on day 2 of training camp get that many reps. I don't know. Were you encouraged by that? Did you happen to notice any plays that he made? I didn't really, but I thought it was just encouraging.
Well, the thing that I love seeing is that Spags is going to continue to mix things up, and that it looks like we found our safety also. Another day of Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor and Brian Cook being like the top 3 safeties. They're going to rotate in and out. So it's nice seeing that we've kind of already figured that out. But yeah, with Omar Norman, like you said, day 2, he's already getting a ton of reps with the ones. That's great to see. He's a second round draft pick that I mocked as a first round. So it's really nice to see that the coaches already have confidence in him. Um, Another thing that I was watching for as well are the corners,
Hmm.
and that's kinda, I think there's a couple corners and safeties that are on the bubble. Did you have any specific observations with some of those guys?
Yeah, it's really interesting to evaluate the cornerback position because the Chiefs are extremely healthy right now, but one of the players that isn't is Christian Fulton. Free agent cornerback signing. I believe they signed to a 2-year, $20 million deal. That's not cut from the roster money. And so it's believed that Fulton is going to make the roster. And that probably removes a corner from the team that was on the active roster last year. So who's really the
Mm.
odd man out? And to me, I'm looking at guys like Joshua Williams and Chris Roland Wallace. But like we said, it's tough to evaluate defenders. But Chris Roland Wallace had the defensive highlight of the day. He had that perfect pass breakup on Sky Moore in 7-on-7, and he got the defense fired up. It was really the only time I saw either side of the ball get fired up was when Roland Wallace broke that pass up. And he's got to continue to make plays like that if he wants to make the roster because this is a crowded and talented cornerback room. Like if your cornerback 6 or 7 is making a pass breakup that looks like that, you're in a good shape in the secondary.
Yeah, I think cornerback is gonna be the hardest position to cut and also the hardest position to mock as to who gets cut because there's so many guys that I think can make good plays. You mentioned Joshua Williams is on the roster bubble. Joshua Williams played well when, when
Jalen
Watson
Watson.
got hurt
Yeah.
last yeah, when Jalen Watson got hurt last year, Joshua Williams played well. Joshua Williams he's kind of a fan favorite. He's kind of a team favorite. He's got so much chemistry with the other guys on that team that it's going to be really hard if he is on the roster bubble. Guys like Mike Edwards, I think, is also on the roster bubble. He's someone that's made plays for the Chiefs in the years past, and it's going to be really hard to move on from whoever does end up getting cut.
Yeah, that's one thing that we definitely struggled with when we were doing our 53-man roster projections,
Mm.
which we will be posting later today because this video is going up tomorrow. We're going to post our 53-man, and one of the things we disagree on is how many defensive backs we're going to keep. Tyler's high on keeping 11 defensive backs because it's just so hard to cut those guys. They're all really good, and I think it's one of the more talented rooms. It's a sneakily talented room here on the Chiefs this year. But of course, McDuffie, Jalen Watson, and Christian Fulton. It's a really well balanced, really deep room. So I'm not sure. I'm not even finished my prediction. I need to go back and look and see who I'm keeping and who I'm removing. But yeah, it was really interesting to watch that battle go down. And I will be interested to see who gets the reps in the preseason.
Yeah, and even next week too, once we get the pads on, I know you won't be going with me, Zach, but I'll be going back to Chiefs training camp next Sunday and Monday. By that time, we should have some longer practices. We should be in full pads. We're going to see a lot more contact, and that's really where I'm hoping to get a better look at number one, who's getting the reps, who's making the plays, and who's making the contact in those 7-on-7 and those drills.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of football coming up. I think that's really all the observations we had. We covered a lot of stuff today. But in T minus 8 days, the NFL will resume playing football games again as the Los wherever they play, the Los Angeles Chargers
Or the
face
Los
off
I
against
still say San Diego, so go ahead, say whatever you
the
want.
the Los Angeles Chargers and the Detroit Lions face off in Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame game Thursday, July 31st. Can't wait. I'm going to be breaking down that game for you guys next week in our episode. I'm sure Tyler will have more training camp updates. I don't know. Will you be back from training camp by then?
I I should be, yeah,
Okay.
it's I'm a teacher on summer, I don't even know what day it is right now, so,
So
I'll go to training camp at some point, and I'll keep y'all posted.
we'll certainly have more training camp updates for you and a
Mm.
preview of that Hall of Fame game. We're gonna try to get that episode out the Wednesday before that game comes out. We want to make sure that you are prepared. You have a watching guide. I know that we've been doing a lot of Chiefs content, but I have not forgotten about you, Lions fans. We are gonna cover exactly who you need to watch for this week zero matchup, this preseason game versus the Chargers, all next week. But make sure you tune in and make sure you go follow the TikToks too. We're posting a lot of day in the life stuff And we wouldn't want you to miss out on any That's DPI content. But until next week, take it easy, you guys. Thanks for watching.
Appreciate you guys.